In this lesson, we will learn that what components you need to look for when designing a Kubernetes cluster. So you are a system administrator and you have been tasked to deploy Kubernetes cluster environment. You want to enable the autonomy of teams by building a cluster where no one is running into each other. That we will verify, and you want to able to understand that it can scale but without the worry of breaking the bank. So for designing a Kubernetes cluster communication, there are some components that you need to consider. The first one is the labels. Labels and selectors are great. They are loosely coupled way to define how you are going to organize services and define requirements. The next one is role-based access control. It's important to avoid not just bad actors taking over your system, but a well-intentioned employee making a mistake. So there are three types of role-based access. The first one is the namespace admin. It manages all the goings on in the namespace. For example, roles, role binding, deployment, etc. Using namespace allows you to grant the team autonomy. The next one is the namespace deployment manager. In this, you are allowed to get, list, watch, create, update, patch, delete resources in that namespace. The third one is the cluster reader. In this type of resource, you are allowed to get, list, and watch. This could be a QA or tester who just want to see and get the logs of a running pod. Using namespaces allow you to ensure that you can grant the team's autonomy without sacrificing overall cluster security. Allow each team to have their own namespace while maintaining separate namespaces for things like ingress or logging. This should be done during one-time provisioning of the new project to be hosted on the cluster. Resource quotas are great. Basically, it is a resource that allows you to limit the total amount of compute that a namespace can take. You can essentially limit the request and usage of CPU, storage, GPU object in a namespace. Auto-scaling will allow your cluster to grow from a minimum node size to maximum node size. This is wonderful from a cost management standpoint, especially in a cloud scenario, as you will not just want to have nodes hanging out there doing nothing. It is like a package manager like Homebrew, apt, yum for Kubernetes project. Having your teams to create Helm chart and having an internal repo to pull from is a great way to define dependencies. Configure your deployments between staging and production will be much easier using Helm.